If there is one placement of the maximum challenges, maximum hurdles, maximum stress, and the maximum tests for you, then this is the placement of how many houses Saturn is placed from Ketu. And so if you're the weak-hearted, if you take stress on easily, then this is a video that you should avoid rather than watch. Hello, namaskar and adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan. Once more with you from your very own channel, Astro Assurance. We have been doing this series of planets in different houses from other planets, and in this series, we have done placements of planets from Moon, planets from Rahu, and planets from Saturn and planets from Ketu also. In this series, we have been doing the placement of planets from Ketu. So, Mercury from Ketu, Moon from Ketu, Sun from Ketu, and so on. Today is the turn of the placement of the planet, the energy Saturn in different houses from Ketu. This is one of the most important videos that you watch, and this will tell you where the maximum hurdles, challenges, problems, stress, tests will come to you. So if you really want to know where you need to be most careful about, where you need to be most giving about, then this is the placement. I'm going to keep this video short so that I don't give too much stress to people, but I will give you enough to know where the challenges may be, where the issues may be, where you need to concentrate and where you need to focus most to avoid the biggest challenges, the biggest issues in life. So let's jump in and see the placement of Saturn in different houses from Ketu one by one. Now, what is Ketu? Ketu is about being less competitive. Ketu is about negation. Ketu is about avoidance. Ketu is about where you will be happy within yourself and you don't want to stress on something too much. Ketu is a planet of negation. Ketu is a planet of the dark energy. Ketu is where your leftover karma, your balance of karma is there. The karma which you have not completed, largely it's completed, but some remnants is remaining. And so you need to give off. You need to be charitable, to be donating in that placement. Saturn is where you need to actually serve, where you need to bend your back, where you need to focus, where you need to serve with the attitude of servitude, of humility, of respecting boundaries, with organization, with structured effort. And so Saturn going in different houses from Ketu will also denote where you need to respect the most boundaries, where you need to be giving up the most. So when Saturn and Ketu are together in conjunction or one with each other, then it is very high energy where you need to give up the most, receive the least. Ketu is the planet of negation, denial. It denies giving you any results of that house or sign where it is placed and of the planet which it is placed with. So this is a placement where Saturn with Ketu means Saturn is service, doing for others, bending your back for others, doing teamwork for others, not thinking so much for self, thinking about the team, the organization, thinking about your superiors, the department, the industry, rather than for self. So when Saturn and Ketu are together, Ketu being the sign or the energy of denial and Saturn being the attitude of serving, this means you need to serve, you need to do, not think of the results at all. This is like in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna told Arjun that you just do your service, you do your duty, don't worry about the fruits of your labor. So this is a placement where you need to not worry about the fruits of labor at all. Most of the results of that house will be denied to you. And Saturn being conjunct with Ketu means whichever houses Saturn rules in the horoscope. Saturn could be with Ketu in Leo, it could be in Cancer, it could be in Scorpio, it could be in any house, but it could be ruling other houses by virtue of its rulership of Capricorn and Aquarius. So whichever two houses it rules, suppose it rules the 10th and 11th house, for example, for Aries ascendant native, or it rules the 11th and 12th house, for example, or it rules the 4th and 5th house, or it rules the 9th and 10th house, for example, for Taurus ascendant native. So depending on what houses it rules and then placed with Ketu, which means to get the results of those houses, you'll have to work the utmost. And you will find every now and then you have to struggle the most for the results of those houses. So for example, if you are in the Aries ascendant and Saturn rules Capricorn, but Saturn is placed with Ketu, for example, in the 11th house, then you will have to work 10 times harder to get the fruits of labor from your work. If Saturn and Ketu are placed, say for example, in the 4th house, when Saturn rules the 5th house, then for investments, for romance, for getting gains, financial gains, you'll have to struggle the utmost. But wherever Saturn and Ketu are placed, it means that you will have to give up the most or sacrifice the most of that house to get the results of those houses that Saturn rules. For example, Saturn and Ketu in the 4th house, where Saturn rules, say, the 9th and the 10th house. So for your education and your career, you will have to be more charitable at home, more giving at home, or forget about getting anything out of home. Homely comforts, homely security, the love, the affection, the peace, you'll have to let go. The time that you spend at home, you'll have to sacrifice the utmost if you have to get the fruits of your education and your career. On the other hand, Saturn rules, for example, the 11th and the 12th house, and Saturn and Ketu are placed in the 2nd house of income. Then from foreign lands or working in social network, you'll have to sacrifice the most because Saturn and Ketu are together in the 2nd house of income, of livelihood. So getting very high designation, very high growth, very high roles or very high responsibilities, and to be earning from that will be the least. You'll have to struggle the most. So this is one of the most difficult placements of Saturn and Ketu together. My suggestion to you would be, rather than be undue stressed or worried about my Saturn and Ketu are in this house, think about some other areas where your strengths are the most, where the energies are the strongest, and focus on those rather than something else. So Saturn and Ketu are in the 2nd house. Don't worry so much about income or livelihood. Worry about growth in your career, learning more about your career, being more competent, being an authority figure, so that because you're focusing on something that you can achieve, say output of that will be income. But if you focus too much of income, of earning, then you will find that earning will not come to you, and the other areas which you have not focused on and focused on earning, they will also be devoid of you. So this is a difficult placement surely, but please focus on the strengths in your horoscope where your maximum energies are, where the maximum dignities are, rather than focusing on where Saturn and Ketu are placed together in conjunction, whichever house it is. Now, when Saturn goes into the 2nd house from Ketu, which means Saturn and Ketu are 212 from each other. Saturn is in the 2nd house from Ketu, but Ketu is in the 12th house from Saturn. Now, this is a tough placement from the livelihood perspective, from the earthing potential perspective, from the earning potential compared to or connected to those houses which Saturn rules. So, if Saturn is connected to the 10th house, then money is bereft of you. Money is not coming to you. Money is going to be something which you have to struggle most, because Saturn is placed in the 2nd house from Ketu. So Ketu is a planet of denial, of negation. It will negate you the results of the house that it is placed in, the sign that it is placed in, and with the planet that it is placed in. So Ketu is denying you. Ketu is telling you, I won't give you the results unless you work 10 times more hard, and Saturn is bending your back, working very hard. Saturn going in the 2nd house from Ketu means you'll have to work that much more harder. You'll have to give up many things in life to be able to earn. Many times you have to give up your dignity or integrity or health or your respect in society. Sometimes you have to give up the stature in society. Sometimes you have to bend too much in front of your superiors. Sometimes you have to bend too much in front of family. One connection, one relationship you'll surely have to bend when Saturn is in the 2nd house from Ketu, because the earning potential, the livelihood, the nutrition, the gains of that house are almost denied to you, almost not given to you. So for example, if Ketu is in the 4th house, Saturn is in the 5th house, again 2nd from Ketu, then for getting the results of home, peace at home, the tranquility at home, assets, Saturn going into the 5th house of investments. However hard investments you make, however clever investments that you make, however practical investments that you make, however educated investment that you make, you will find that many times the losses are like 10 times out of 9 times out of 10 you will get losses. one time maybe you will get gain after waiting for too long, being really patient, being very persevering. So this is really a tough placement where the earning potential, the nutrition, the livelihood, whichever house Saturn is placed in the second house from Ketu is denied from you. And Ketu being in the 12th from Saturn means whichever house Saturn rules, Ketu going into the 12th house means the losses of that house, Ketu is absorbing all the losses. So Saturn rules the 7th house of relationship, and Ketu is placed 12th from Saturn, which means it will deny you the relationship. At least one relation Ketu will eat up or negate or let go of, or you will have to let go or donate that relationship before results come to you, and you'll have to wait for some time. Usually such people, especially when you're trying to get married, the age gap may be a bit more between you and your spouse, or you get a spouse who's also very wise, or somebody who's more experienced than you also in terms of life or experiences also. So the person will be very different from you, or one connection will be very varied from you, one connection will be very different from you. So Saturn going into the second house from Ketu, keep your eyes open for where the strengths in your horoscope are. Get the most out of those strengths, get the most the results or gains from that placement where the maximum energies, where the maximum gains are, and focus less on the houses where Ketu is placed and where Saturn is placed. Now, when Saturn goes into the third house from Ketu, what is the third house of any house? The third house from any house is the effort that you need to put in matters of that house. Now, Ketu in any house is denying you the results, negating the results of that house. Ketu will absorb the energies of that house, absorb the energies of the sign that it is placed in, absorb the energies of the planet that it is conjunct in. So you will have to struggle 10 times harder wherever Ketu is placed to get the results out of that. Saturn being in a third house from any house, which means you have to put in effort to get the results of that house. Now Ketu is denying you the results and Saturn is placed third from it, which means you'll have to put in that many more efforts. Saturn is anyways bending your back, anyways being humble, anyways serving others. It's a planet of servitude rather than leadership. So here you'll have to put in much more efforts. Serve, bend your back, contribute, donate, put in all your efforts and yet not get the results of your labor. So Saturn going into the third house from Ketu is surely one of the most tough placements. This also means that when you're trying to influence people in marketing or to convince them to act in a certain manner or to sell something to them or get them to buy a product connected to your organization or invest in your company, or convince somebody to join in a project, whatever you're trying to do, you will find that the effort that you need to put in is tenfolds before the results come to you. This is also placement that wherever Saturn is placed in the third house from Ketu, the results of that house connected to business, connected to self-effort will be almost denied to you. Many people I see Ketu in the first house, Saturn going into the third house. Here the challenge is 3 times higher or bigger because here the efforts are denied to you. Efforts are specially denied where the karma is not coming in, where you're not extinguishing your karma. So if your karma is in a certain direction, you're not doing your karmic responsibilities. Saturn in the third house, which means anything that Saturn rules, Saturn is connected to, Saturn is aspecting, the results will be denied to you or not be given to you till you bend your back towards that relationship, till you bend your back towards that responsibility, till you bend your back toward that karmic debt. So this is one of the tougher placements. Saturn going third house from Ketu, which means if you're not ready to bend your back and serve where the Srishti, the zodiac is pointing towards you, and the signs will be given to you every now and then. A relationship which tests you the most, maybe the karmic debt you have the most, there you will have to bend your back the most. But many times we avoid that. We keep putting in the effort. We think we are very intelligent, we are very practical, and we keep putting in effort in certain direction only to know that we are lost. And many times this is also placement where we feel lost the most because this is a 3-11 placement. Third from Ketu is the effort. 11th house to the house of society, social connections. So what Ketu does is, if you're not doing your responsibility, if you're not taking care of your karmic debt, then the 11th house of social connections, it breaks off. It puts you in isolation. It puts you in solitude. It disconnects you from everything. Many times these people die alone in utmost misery if they don't take care of their responsibilities. Many times these people try to run away or shun their responsibilities because it is too much effort too much they have to give in, too much they have to bend their back, too much they have to compromise on their values or their temperament or their ego or their pride or prestige. Sometimes people may see you as very, very selfish. So this is surely a tough placement, but I would suggest that do put in the effort and focus on the strongest areas in your horoscope, because you will get the best results from them. And please put in the effort to pay off your karmic debt, give off the effort or put in the effort to take care of your responsibilities. Only then there will be some stress-free time for you, some relief that Ketu and Saturn will give to you. Now, when Saturn goes into the 4th house from Ketu, Saturn going into the 4th house from Ketu, which means Ketu is in the 10th house from Saturn. Now, Ketu is the planet of denial, of negating, avoiding, giving, being charitable, donating. Saturn is the planet of effort, being somebody who bends your back, follows rules and regulations, works for others, is humble, is a team worker. So 4th from Ketu. Ketu is denying you the results of a house. Saturn is in the 4th house of assets from Ketu. So the assets will be denied to you however hard effort that you put in, because Ketu is a planet of denial. 4th house from Ketu is the house of assets. Saturn going in there, which means Saturn will slow down the results that you get when you're trying to acquire assets. So what Ketu will do is, whenever you put in the effort to get assets, conveniences, especially the richer conveniences, a big house, land, big car, jewelry, the rich life, Ketu will deny you unless you put in 10 times the effort to be able to get assets. And unless you work really, really hard, you've really been patient, you've really persevered, you're really stuck to your values, and you've paid off your karmic debt, you've taken care of your responsibilities, especially the domestic responsibilities, especially the family responsibilities. If you're not ready to do, then Ketu will deny you the results. The peace at home, the tranquility at home, the satisfaction of home, the satisfaction and the good quality of life, the assets will all be denied. Sometimes, rare occasions, it becomes so serious that even basic conveniences sometimes are denied to such people. So if Saturn has gone into the 4th house from Ketu, be very, very careful of where you're investing money, especially in terms of buying houses, buying cars. Be very careful. Take utmost care of responsibilities, take utmost care of the paperwork, take utmost care when you're driving, take utmost care of the domestic environment in the house, your responsibilities toward the family, your responsibility toward the spouse. And you need to put in extra effort to keep the peace at home, the tranquility at home. You need to be more patient. You need to persevere more and allow the family to have its due, sometimes even at your cost, because this is the placement of the maximum denial for assets and for families, peace, tranquility, happiness also. And now, because Saturn is 4th from Ketu, Ketu has gone into the 10th house from Saturn. Saturn is effort. Saturn is also the Karak of career. Ketu is going into the 10th house from Saturn, which means in career you may be denied the efforts. Now please take it well. This is one of the most toughest placements for career and domestic life. These are the most important areas in our life. We want to have a good career, a good work life. We want to have a good domestic life. We want to have good family. We want to have happy family. We want to have a good house. This is the very, very, very tough placement unless you are ready to be charitable in both the areas. So at home, don't worry too much about not getting back maximum from family, family not putting in enough effort, family not showing enough of care. At work, boss not being so giving, so appreciating, so acknowledging, teamwork not coming in, subordinates or colleagues not being very helpful. You put in your work, you put in your hard work and leave it to the street, to the zodiac, to time to come back and to be able to return the favor. Now, many times what happens, you have to wait for many, many years. But when the returns are given to you, they're given in 10 times the fold. So somebody is living without a house for 10, 15, 20 years, however hard they try. They are in debts, they are alone. And suddenly, when you put in enough effort, suddenly you find some breakthrough comes in and you are able to get a house. And after a few years, you're able to buy another house. You're able to get some other assets also. So patience, persevering is the key when Saturn is in the 4th house from Ketu. Now, when Saturn goes into the 5th house from Ketu, 5th house is the house of gains. However, this is the fine placement. This is slightly less troublesome, less stressful, less troublemaking placement for you. Why less troublemaking? Because any placement of Saturn from Ketu does bring you troubles of that house and the number of houses Saturn is placed away from Ketu. Fine line placement means Ketu is a planet of denial. Ketu is negating you the results of a house, of the sign and the planet that it is conjunct with. So when Saturn goes into the 5th house from Ketu, the 5th house from any house is the investments of that house, where you have put in the enough effort, enough investment that you've put in terms of time, money, energy, emotions, and you're expecting the rewards. So the gains that you're expecting in romance, but because you've invested your emotions, invested effort, invested time, and then you want the reciprocity also from the other person, from the person who you are partner with or want to partner with. So you're, in spite of biggest efforts, you'll find the romance that you're expecting, the love that you're expecting, the care that you're expecting, the intimacy that you're expecting, the mushiness that you're expecting in the relationship is very hard to come by. Many times you get close to one person, the relationship breaks, the partnership breaks, the acquaintance breaks before something else happens. And sometimes that also breaks. So this is a placement where many times 2, 3, 4, 5 relations break one after the other before you're able to settle into a final one. And that too, initial time is also a very troublesome time before finally you settle into a relationship where some care, some romance, some intimacy which satisfies you also comes to you. So this is a placement many times, almost throughout your life, you're not satisfied. It is not that enough is not given to you, but whatever is coming by to you is not satisfactory enough. That doesn't give you the feeling of your thirst being quenched. Not that ever your thirst will be completely quenched, but this is a placement where you feel more has not come to you, though you have put in the maximum investments. 5th house is the house of investments. So here you have put in enough investments in the relationship, enough investments in maybe in stocks, in market, in home, in something you have put in your either effort or money or emotions, and yet the effort doesn't give you the fruits of your labor. So this is surely a placement of strong denial for gains. Whichever house Saturn is placed from Ketu. So Ketu is in the 2nd house, Saturn goes into the 6th house of service. So in your service, money not coming in at all, in spite of all your efforts, all the backbending that you have done. Because this is the correction of karmic debt you need to give off through your service. So gains are not given to you unless you are giving off. But Ketu is the 9th from Saturn, which means if you have put in enough effort, you have done enough over a period of time, you have persevered, then the results and the gains may come to you, but sometimes they come very, very late in life. So whichever house Saturn goes from Ketu, yeah, we're talking about 5th from Ketu, yeah, almost forget the gains coming in from the house where Saturn is placed and the houses that Saturn rules. So if Saturn rules, say for example, the 12th house and placed in the 5th house when Ketu is in the Lagna, which means from foreign lands you may not be able to get enough gains in spite of all your efforts, in spite of all your investments, or getting romance or getting a long-term stable partnership, or maybe a relationship in a foreign land or with a foreign person or from different ethnicity can be very troubling. So with your time, but from the house it's almost denied. Persevere, be patient, and maybe over a period of time there will be some return back to you. Now when Saturn goes into the 6th house from Ketu, Ketu is a planet of strong denial, of negation. Ketu doesn't want to give you the results of the house that it is placed in, the sign that it is placed in, and the planet that it is conjunct with. So when Saturn goes into the 6th house from Ketu, it's a mixed placement. On one hand, Saturn going into the 6th house from Ketu, which means wherever you serve, the results of your service will not come to you. However hard you try to keep the subordinates happy, the people working under you happy, you will not be able to satisfy them. Many times the people who come to work for you, somebody who comes as a plumber, somebody who is a driver, somebody who is working in your office, those people who are subordinate to you or working under you or below you, you will find many times you will get into the maximum friction or trouble or challenges from them. The support that you should be getting from people who work under you, your team members, will be lacking. Many a time they may be antagonistic to you, or in fact, some of the time they may be acting behind your back. However, this is the mixed placement, which means because Saturn is 6th from Ketu, Ketu is 8th from Saturn, which means Ketu will deny sudden challenges, sudden problems, sudden issues. If you are persevering in that situation, if you don't let the situation overpower you. So if there is a troublemaking colleague or troublemaking subordinate in your office, yet you're sustaining, you're not losing your cool, you're not blowing a fuse on them, then over a period of time, you will find that the energy subdues itself. It is reduced, and Saturn will also pay you back and reduce the suddenness of the issues. If something is coming to you, you will be able to see it coming over a period of time, and if enough time is given to you to avoid the challenge, avoid the problem. Yet, because Saturn is still in the 6th house from Ketu, sometimes diseases may come to you, which may also require surgery. Ketu is the picture of a deity who is headless but has a knife or a very, very sharp weapon or a sharp knife in his hand. So many times the 6th house means the house of sickness. Because of a chronic ailment, you may even have to undergo or go under the knife. I'm not saying everybody will have to go through this, but if you're not careful with your health, then this may happen. So this is a placement of utmost care of your health, utmost care of your daily regimen, of your hygiene, especially hygiene. Then you can avoid challenges. This is also placement, if you're not careful, court cases may come to you. In debt, you may not be able to pay back because the 6th house is also the house of debt. Taking loans from and then being denied to be having the ability to pay back. So Ketu denies you from the ability to pay back, and Ketu keeps making the obstruction. However, you know that the EMI is coming. You know you have enough time. So you're given time to pay back. You're given time to plan. However, still it takes a lot of effort. Bending your back, following rules and regulations, putting in 10 times the effort before you get the fruits of the labor in service. So in this placement, my suggestion to you would be try and avoid taking loans. Avoid loaning money to people. Take utmost good care of your health. And some obstructions most of the obstructions may not come suddenly, but some obstruction, some challenge, some problem may come, which may become such a huge fire that you may not be able to handle it. So this is really a tough placement where you need to avoid taking too much stress, taking too much risks, and take good care of yourself so that the challenges that of the 6th, 8th placement are reduced considerably for you. Now, when Saturn goes into the 7th house from Ketu, which means now Saturn is placed with Rahu. Rahu and Saturn is the Shrapit dosha. This is one of the most potent doshas in astrology, which means that Saturn is aspecting Ketu back, because Saturn has the 7th aspect, but Ketu doesn't. However, because they are in 7-7 placement from each other, Saturn being in Shrapit dosha means Saturn is igniting or influencing the energies of Rahu and trying to stabilize it. On the other hand, if Rahu has the upper hand, Rahu is instigating Saturn to hurry up, to work for more self rather than for team, or to bend your back or to serve others. But Ketu is denying you the results. It is in the Rahu and Ketu axis that Saturn has got engulfed in. So yeah, however hard you try to get the gains where Saturn is placed, because of the Rahu being a planet of greed, of hunger, you are not able to get the fruits of your labor. And whatever is given to you, you're not satisfied with it, because Rahu is placed with Saturn. And this is a placement because of the Shrapit dosha. It is almost as if you're cursed. You don't know where to go, how to handle the issue, how to handle the responsibility given to you, how to be able to take care of the role that you're given to you. So this is a really challenging placement because of the 7-7 axis. Wherever Ketu is placed, it is denying you the results. Saturn aspecting Ketu, which means any results which, if at all they are coming to you, they will be denied so much, they will be so late, you will always feel hungry. You'll never be satiated because of the Rahu and Saturn angle. So this is surely a tough placement. This is the most tough placement from relationship perspective. So whichever house Ketu is placed, for example, if Ketu is placed in the 3rd house, Rahu and Ketu are placed in the 9th house, so that the hunger and greed to learn from your experiences, to learn from your mentors, to learn from your seniors may be there, and to get more gains, to go abroad, to get higher education. So many times through your higher education, you're not able to get the gains. Many times you'll find with this placement, you get educated and you get qualified in one stream, but you work for something else. That education becomes almost useless for you, or the education doesn't become as much fruitful for you as much as you wish. You get high degrees and you feel, because of I've done all these certifications, I should be able to get a better role, better designation, better growth. But sometimes it may be denied to you. So this is surely a placement of strong denial. The partnerships, they don't work, or the partners cheat you sometimes. So this is surely a placement of one relationship, either cheating you or letting you be, in spite of you putting all the efforts in that relationship. In partnerships, you may lose. In teamwork, you may lose. So this is a placement where try and work alone. Try and not expect anything from anybody in life. Keep doing for others. Subdue the stress that you may get because your hunger and greed is there and you're not getting the payback. You're not getting the reciprocity from others. If you're able to do that, Ketu is anyways denying you the results. Then you'll have more peace and there will be more stressless existence rather than a more stressful existence in your life. Now, when Saturn goes into the 8th house from Ketu, which means Ketu is in the 6th house from Saturn. So this is the 8-6 placement. This is one of the most tough placements between Saturn and Ketu. Most of the placements between Saturn and Ketu are really tough, but this is a really, really tough one. Why? Saturn has gone into the 8th house from Ketu. 8th house is the house of obstructions, challenges, problems, fights, sudden fires, sudden issues because of which you have to put in utmost effort because Saturn has gone into the 8th house to be able to overcome the challenge, to be able to handle it, to be able to extinguish the fire, to be able to contend with the suddenness of the issue. Ketu is a planet of denial, which means however hard you try to overcome the obstruction, overcome the challenge, to put out the fire, it will be very, very tough for you. So this is sometimes a person goes through an accident, develops a health ailment, and however hard you try, however, I've seen people go through 3, 4, 5, 6 surgeries with this placement, and yet they are not cured. The chronic pain, the challenge, the problem remains with them. Sometimes I've seen people get into the loan and debt cycle, and try as they might, they're not able to come out of it. Sometimes I've seen with this, they get into a relationship, a hidden relationship which may be even based on infidelity, an affair. However hard they try, they are not able to come out of it. Or if they are able to come out of it, they face scandals, they face bad name, they face challenges. This could also mean that if you get into an addiction, try as you might, you may not be able to come out of it. So the worst addiction with this is either addiction of pornography or addiction of liquor, alcohol, to some extent even smoking. But this is a tough one. If you get into any of these addictions, you may end up with a sexual disease, intrauterine disease, or it may also maybe become more chronic. The disease may be also be connected to those which doctors are not able to identify and cure. So maintaining your hygiene, maintaining your health, avoiding any sudden decisions, not driving very fast, not overeating, really taking very good care of yourself, because the 8th house is also called the Randra Bhava. It is also the house of death, depth, mysteries, secrets, going deep down and extracting information, extracting results. So which means you have to go really deep down to be able to extract results of any house that you're working with. So any career that you do where you require analysis, going deep down, insurance, wealth management, IT, working on the print media, working in front of the camera, all these which are related to the 8th house, you'll have to work 10 times more harder to be able to get success. I found people who are actors, they act in a movie, suddenly the movie is not released. They act or they have a role of 10 minutes, they find with all the editing, their role is reduced to 2 minutes, or somebody else takes the credit over them. So this is really a really tough placement. You really have to work your heart, bend your back, and you keep facing obstruction, you keep facing challenges. Something keeps obstructing you to grow. Something keeps obstructing you to rise. Something keeps obstructing you not to get gain. So this is really a tough one. Now, because of Saturn being 8th from Ketu, Ketu is in the 6th house from Saturn. 6th house is the house of gaining from service. So however hard you try to overcome obstruction, then to be able to gain from your service, you are denied. Ketu is a planet of denial, of negation. Ketu absorbs the energy of the planet and the sign and the planet of the house that it is placed in. So this is surely a very tough placement where you are just not able to get the gains wherever Saturn is placed 8th from Ketu. So if Saturn is in the 2nd house, Ketu is in the 2nd house, and Saturn goes into the 9th house. So gaining from education, the livelihood, the money, the increments is almost denied to you. So be patient, persevere, work hard and try to give back to society. Don't think so much about the efforts of labor and try and avoid suddenness issues, chronic ailments, chronic habits, bad addiction, and keep yourself safer than being sorry. Now when Saturn goes into the 9th house from Ketu, which means Saturn and Ketu are 9-5 placement from each other. 9th house is the house of big gains. But Ketu is the planet of denial, of negation, avoiding getting gains from a certain house. Saturn has gone into the 9th house of gains from Ketu, which means Ketu is anyways denying you. Saturn has gone into the 9th house of gains, which means gains are denied to you, however hard you try. Unless you put in the 10 times more effort, supreme effort is required to get gains. Getting gains out of your education, getting gain out of your experiences. Sometimes you'll find people are very, very experienced and they work in the industry that they work in, yet they are not able to get the fruits of their labor. After so much effort, after so much experience, yet you're not able to climb the ladders of success, the ladders in the corporate world. So you will find sometimes people are very, very experienced, but they're stuck up maximum in the middle management position. They're never able to rise to senior position or the topmost position because the gains of effort are denied to them. Saturn being in the planet of effort, going into the house of gains, and Ketu being the planet of denial. So, especially gaining from your education, especially gaining from your experiences, gaining from seniors, gaining from mentors is almost denied. So, many times the teaching or learning that you're getting from your seniors, you get experience, but they are denied to be able to get you the maximum fruits of labor. Sometimes going abroad may not be that fruitful. Going to foreign universities to get higher degrees may not be that fruitful. Going for long distance travel to make presentations to get some partnerships may not be fruitful. Getting into a relationship or a love affair with somebody who's from a different city, coming from a city which is very far away from where you are born, maybe a foreigner, is not fruitful for you. So you have to work 10 times more, put in more effort to be able to gain from them. And because Ketu is in the 5th house from Saturn, because Saturn is in the 9th house from Ketu, 5th house is the house of the house of education, investments, which means unless you're putting in enough investments to gain from your experiences, the gains will not come to you because the investment is not big enough. So you have to keep putting in the effort, keep working, keep getting experiences, keep learning and investing in these experiences, and then over a period of time, after a lot of effort, lot of hassle, lot of obstruction, then some gains may come to you. Now when Saturn goes into the 10th house from Ketu, which means then Ketu is in the 4th house from Saturn. So this is the 10-4 placement. Now Ketu is the planet of denial, planet of negation, planet of not wanting to give you anything because you've already enjoyed the fruits of the labor in an early inning. So now Saturn going into the 10th house from Ketu. Now the 10th house from any house is the effort or the fruits of the effort that you get from that house, the karma from that house, the work, the career, the vocation, the action that you take on a day-to-day basis to get the efforts from that house. Saturn going into the 10th from Ketu because Ketu is the planet of denial, negation. So the 10th house of karma, action, work are denied to you however hard you work. Saturn going is anyway slowing down. Ketu is denying. So Saturn slows down, Ketu denies, which means however hard you try, over years and years of effort, you never get the satisfaction that you got enough. So always you feel you're denied the results in your career. You're denied the results of your work. You're denied the results of your vocation. You're denied the results of growth. You're denied the results of appreciation, acknowledgement from your higher ups, from the authority figures. 10th house is also authority figures. So many times your immediate boss may say, okay, I'll try and get you growth, I'll try and get you promoted, but he may come back and say, no, the higher ups, the seniors are not agreeing, they have this issue with you, they have this problem with you. Somehow the other you hit a roadblock every now and then. Every time you feel that you expect growth in stature and dignity, get the corner office, get a better role, get promoted, those are denied to you. So even those actions on a day-to-day basis that you're doing to get certain things done, you will find you'll have to work more harder. If you're trying to get something repaired at home, in the first instance, the thing is not repaired. You assume or you feel the thing is repaired, you pay for it and bring it home, only to find that the thing goes kaput again. You have to run back, you have to go and, get into the hassles of arguing with people that I paid for this, I bought a new one, it got spoiled, I repaired it, again it got spoiled. So these hassles of running into some obstruction, some challenge in your activities, in your work, in your hard work from time to time comes. So this is strong denial of getting very high gains from your career, your work, your actions on a day-to-day basis. So what this means, how to contend with this? So best thing is don't stress too much about this. Anyways, understand this is not coming to you. So you work on doing more for the department, doing more for the industry, doing more for the organization, and then wait till the efforts are given back to you. Why? Because Saturn going into the 10th house from Ketu, which means Ketu is in the 4th house from Saturn. The 4th house is the house of assets, satisfaction, peace, tranquility, conveniences. So Ketu will let you get the conveniences, let you get the satisfaction, let you get the appreciation and the happiness of your effort after you put in the hard work, after you put in the service over a period of time. So if you're not ready to bend your back, not ready to not think too much about growth, not think too much about appreciation and recognition, keep working and bid your time and then wait for Ketu to give you assets and give you back in multifold also sometimes. Then only you will be able to sustain through the period. If you're not able to do that, you will live in stress, you will live in challenges, you will live in problems, you will be in a state of denial. So with this placement, focus on giving, doing, and less on how much you're getting back. Now, when Saturn goes into the 11th house from Ketu, which means Ketu is in the 3rd house from Saturn. Now, what is Ketu? Ketu is a planet of denial, negation, not giving you results. Ketu is the planet which negates you the results of the house, the results of the sign, and the results of the planet that it is conjunct with or placed with. So, Saturn going into the 11th house of gains, wishes and desires, societal gains, societal connections, which means from a societal connection, you don't get gains. Ketu denies you those. In friendships, you will find many times, in spite of all your effort, you being more helpful to people, you being the 4 a.m. friend, you have less of those. Those people who you truly can call you friends, there's hardly any, or maybe 1 or 2. And many times even those are found wanting. You depend on somebody that is the first person who will not be able to help you, who will not be able to come to stand even in support for you. Societal gains are denied to you. Societal connections are denied to you. Sometimes you feel somebody is your friend only to learn that they don't really like you so much. So a lot of things are hidden behind. Sometimes societal network, you try and work hard and you will find that in spite of trying to put in the effort, you're not able to make good friends. Most of the people who are there are only to get their wishes and desires fulfilled, not yours. 11th house is surely the house of wishes and desires fulfillment. Saturn has gone into the 11th house from Ketu, which means you have to give up your wishes and desires to fulfill somebody else's. Who you think are your friends, who you think are your social network, who you think are your social connections, who you think are your social acquaintances, you may not be able to get the gains from that. The 11th house is also the house of intra-departmental connections with the other departments in whichever organization you are working. So your intra-department efforts, in spite of you putting in a lot of effort, the network is not helpful to you. Many times you depend on some other department, say for example HR or admin or IT, you will find that you have to really struggle very hard to be able to get anything done or any work done from them. So this is surely a placement of denial of social network or social gain, social help. On the other hand, you will find that many times you'll pull into other people's challenges, other people's problems. You may be called by a boss and said and told that, okay, work in this department, help this department, put in, bend your back, take up extra responsibility, only to not be acknowledged and recognized for it. So this is surely a planet or a placement of strong denial. Many times your wishes and desires throughout your life are not given to you as much as you truly wish. So there is always this thirst that I'm not getting enough. And this is also placement because Ketu has gone into the 3rd house from Saturn, which means you're denied your wishes and desires, and only after supreme effort, almost sometimes throughout your life, almost at the end of your life, some of your wishes and desires are fulfilled. So this is a placement where you need to not focus too much about how much of my wishes and desires are getting fulfilled, how many social acquaintances I'm able to make, how much I'm able to gain from my social network, from my friends, how much I'm able to get back after I've contributed. This is a placement that you do. Put in the effort and wait before Ketu is ready to give back and give you something rather than deny you everything. Now, when Saturn has gone into the 12th house from Ketu, which means then Ketu is in the 2nd house from Saturn. Now, what is the 12th house of any house? Denial of that house, loss of that house, giving up from that house. However, Ketu is already a planet of denial, of negation. wherever Ketu is placed in whichever house, whichever sign or whichever planet it is conjunct with, it almost denies you, negates you the results of that house, that sign and the planet. So when Saturn goes into the 12th house from Ketu, the 12th house, whichever is the 12th house from Ketu, the results of that house are denied for you, not given to you in spite of high efforts. However, because it is the 12th house of denial and Ketu is also double denial, which means one result will be surely given to you at most wherever Saturn is placed in the 12th house from Ketu. So if Ketu is in the 3rd house and Saturn goes into the 2nd house, which is 12th from Ketu, which means from your effort, you may not be able to get the maximum money. Saturn is in the 2nd house of income, but you may be able to get nutrition, which means you may be a foodie and you're not denied food. You may sometimes be denied high nutrition. You may not be able to get the best nutritious food, or you may not really be a big foodie, but you may be very good at languages. You may not earn enough money, but you may be a very good convincer. You may be very good at talking. You may be talking in a very polished, very sophisticated manner. However, because Ketu is still in the mix, so the efforts are not giving you as much fruits of labor in money terms, in livelihood terms, in monetary gains. However, the other gains may be given to you, and one big result, one gain may still be given to you, may not be denied. Many times this is the placement where you just don't do very well in your domestic land, in the house, in the country where you're born, or in the city you're born. You have to go away, very, very far away from the city or the country of your birth to be able to get good results, and everything in that country may not also be given to you. You may not get good gains, good money, get into good relationship, get high growth, get high stature, get high dignity. You may be given only one result in foreign land. So sometimes you'll find you gain a lot of money in foreign land, or you get a very good designation, or you're working for a big brand, or you're just stable and you don't have big challenges or big issues. So one thing will be given to you, the rest of the things will be denied. However, if you are somebody who is very charitable, you're charitable in your service, you're charitable in doing for others, then Ketu over a period of time may still give to you, because Ketu is in the 2nd house from Saturn, which means after being charitable, after donating, after doing for others, not thinking for yourself. Sometimes this is the placement of you working in a hospital, working alone, in isolation. For years together you work, and then the results come to you. It's not that salary is not given to you, your livelihood is not given to you, but it is not that much. It is always below your spending. So many times with this placement, I've seen people spend too much money, or they're forced to spend money, or suddenly something comes in, whatever they have saved suddenly gets washed off. And then you have to work hard again to collect, save money. Again, some new thing comes up and money goes. Mostly it goes in spending for the family, spending for your responsibilities. So this is the placement, because Ketu is in the 2nd house from Saturn. So with this placement, don't worry too much about money, gaining, family. Just be charitable, be large-hearted. Work with the attitude of service. Work with an attitude that I'm doing this only to get salvation, for moksha. This is also moksha placement. So if Ketu is really happy with you, really happy with your efforts, many times this is a placement where the mental peace, which I consider to be salvation in today's world, may also be coming to you after years of hard work and penance, which means the true realization of the soul, true realization of the self, who you are, why you are here, may come to you, and this can be a placement of the utmost peace, but coming very late in life after bending your back, have really lot of hard work. So friends, now that we have discussed Saturn place in 12 different houses from Ketu, do see in your horoscope which house Ketu is, which house Saturn is placed, and how their energies are being exchanged, and which houses Saturn rules, because those houses can also become most troublesome for you. So look at the overall mix between Saturn and Ketu, understand them very well, and focus on how much is being denied to you and where you need to really work and bend your back and serve, so that over a period of time, some returns, some gains will still come to you. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me at the links given below. Until some other time with some other video, this is your friend, astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.